Welcome to Inside the Ropes. I'm Peter Rosenberg. On this show, we take the developers of WWE 2K24, some WWE superstars, WWE 2K Next makers. We play the game, we talk about the game, and I'm very excited about this one because this is about 40 years of WrestleMania, okay? The 2K Showcase of the Immortals. Yes, thank you, Woods. Thank you, Johnny. Look at that cover. It's beautiful. 40 years of WrestleMania. We're going to play the game, but out of the gate, Lionel, tell me, what makes this so special? How did you guys go about celebrating 40 years of WrestleMania?
Oh man, it is probably one of the hardest things we had to do is curate the match list for trying to encapsulate 40 years of WrestleMania because there's so many iconic matches, so many iconic superstars, legends, and current talent that you're like, yeah, we only have, 9 months to try to get this thing done?
That's always the thing. Time is never on our side.
Yeah, so it was a hard process, but I'm really happy with the list that we came up with to just pay homage to me, the best spectacle in sports, right? It's WrestleMania.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so for me, I have some personal favorites because I remember Hogan Andre, I watched it through the squiggly lines before we had, money to watch, pay-per-view. I'm like, I think he got slammed, so seeing that in our game with the cool old school filter and playing through the objectives, along with all of the different eras that we're trying to recreate in our game.
Brian, do me a favor, pretend I'm a novice. I know it's going to be hard.
It will be hard. That'll be very difficult, but yeah, I'll try.
Describe what makes these showcase matches so cool and fun to play.
Well, I think for me, as a staunch and ardent fan, it's the historical. It's almost like an interactive documentary. One of the things that we've done outside the matches, the 21 matches that we've curated, is just a presentation that it's all wrapped into. All the matches are introduced by Corey Graves. He sets the stage. You get into the match and you've got full motion video cutscenes that are then transitions into archival footage and back into gameplay. What do we call that technology, brother? Slingshot tech.
Wow.
Sounds
good.
Slingshot you in and out. Okay. And I just think for me, as someone who is just a fan of WWE and just enjoys the historical aspect of it, the Mo gives you both. You relive, matches from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, all the way up to the current day era of stars. And this is actually the second time we've done this in the franchise. WWE 2K14 was the celebration of 30 years of WrestleMania. That game was heralded as one of the best of the series. And trust me when I say, y'all, this one is even better than that. I mean, it's been 10 years, so it should be. Yeah. Right? And so, this year's showcase has matches that we weren't able to do 10 years ago due to various, reasons and, talents not being available that we were able to do this year. So I think, if you played in 2K14, you're gonna get some of the same iconic matches. You mentioned, Hogan and Andre, but you're also gonna get a whole bunch of new match types that we weren't able to do previously. And there's just more representation on the female side of things too,
Sure.
Which is lovely, Yeah.
So feel free to fire up a game.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, let me ask you guys, I'll start with you. Your name is Johnny Wrestling, for God's sake.
Yes,
you have a bit of a history with this sport.
Yeah.
On the list of showcase matches, what jumped out to you the most?
I think the obvious answer for me is Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon ladder match. Absolutely changed the wrestling business as a whole. And that match holds a special place in my heart because I got the unique opportunity to actually watch that match back with both Shawn and Razor at the PC. And it was absolutely just a fangirl moment for me.
Dude, that is a big
And
flex.
it's so cool, right? So cool, right? So that one in particular just holds a special place in my heart.
Wow. Even Corey Graves looks good in this game. You guys do you have to do any extra work for that or no?
Well, I think I might have been in the contract when we got him to do it. It was like,
It looked like he was on the set. You remember Livewire?
It did look like
It looked like he was on the Livewire set from back in the day.
Woods, what about for you when you see that list of WrestleMania showcase matches?
Bro, it's the same answer. Same answer, that ladder match, Shawn and Razor. It's literally like a life-changing experience to watch that, knowing that you want to do this for a living, because it was so innovative. And you have Razor, who is enormous. I think people forget how big of a human he was.
Dude. Yeah.
And then Shawn, not as big, but in that era, he seemed like he was on the smaller side of guys. So he kind of gave us hope that we could do this. And so having such an incredible performance and such an incredible, iconic match, that's the one.
I'm sure that match made you want to do ladder matches too, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then you got here, and then you did a ladder match, like, oh, these hurt.
Yeah.
These don't feel good.
Bro, when he rode the ladder down to splash him, I remember thinking, like, what are you doing?
And they only had one ladder.
Yeah.
One. What if it broke?
They didn't have the luxury of like 19 ladders under the ring at that time. It's funny too because I feel like fans, we often gravitate towards Hogan Andre or Savage Steamboat. Superstars, I feel like, so often gravitate towards that match. That ladder match is being so important. What about for you, Drew?
For me, Stone Cold Steve Austin against Bret Hart. That match like changed me as a human. Like seeing how visceral that thing was. You guys know me pretty well.
That tracks.
Yeah, it does track. Special enforcer was Ken Shamrock for that
That's right.
match. That was
Blood of Sun.
And like he changed the industry as far as getting involved with mixed martial arts and bringing that over into pop culture through WWE. So, like I don't know, my whole career kind of like spawned, I guess, in that moment, and just kind of led to me sitting here with you guys right now.
I've always thought of you as being very Shamrock-like.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, John.
You're giving Shamrock right now. What about for you guys as fans? You saw the list of showcase matches. What jumps out to you?
One of my favorite all-time WrestleMania moments is when Seth Rollins cashed in Money in the Bank briefcase in the main event. So I'm excited to run through that, win the title, go up to the ramp, swing that title around, you know what I'm saying? What about you, man?
From a gameplay point of view, I'm really excited to see how the Firefly Funhouse match plays. That's like really got me intrigued on how that plays.
Yeah.
That's because just how amazing that looked visually in real life. To picture it in the game is going to be amazing. What about you?
The Undertaker, the streak. I mean, I think about WrestleMania, I think about The Undertaker always.
Yes.
I would say WrestleMania 17, The Rock and Stone Cold, because this match, this is the first match that we watched as wrestling fans, and it all started off from there, and we're excited to relive this moment. It's gonna bring a lot of nostalgia, so yeah, we're excited about this.
Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, WrestleMania 25. It was art, and you can explain art really. You just watch and enjoy. So
Well said. Well said. And you actually planned on being a special referee today.
Oh yeah. That's why I'm there for that.
He created that attire himself.
Wow. Wow. That's so cool.
24/7 title PTSD, right?
I was about to say, we could have a former champions battle right
that's
here.
right. Oh my gosh.
You'll have to practice with me for about 3 hours in order for me to be able to get the pin right.
I'm more than happy to teach you.
I'm just gonna direct all my questions, my answers to them to answer for me because they just sound so eloquent.
I know they really do.
I know.
Just everything sounds fancy.
I know. Anyone not American describing the game makes it sound inherently smarter than when we describe it. Wrestling good. It's fun.
Is there a difference in like the color saturation on screen? Because like it feels like everything like pops a little more, but it's also darker.
Yeah, so like that, I would say Showcase is probably one of the hardest things that we have to do every year because we're holding our game up to real life footage.
Yeah.
And transitioning with that slingshot tech, I'm gonna say it again, directly in game to that. So you're like, oh, if anything's off, you're gonna see it, right? And so like we try to match all the colors, all the filters, even like there's this filter, there's like, it separates the red and the green channel and separates it a little bit so it's offset just like they used to do, well, how it was back in the 80s, right? So yeah, like it's hard, but I love it because it holds us to a new standard, and every year we're trying to raise the bar.
Yeah, it's definitely going through the different modes and having that aspect in there. You can really feel that like how different it is.
We of course are watching Rick Rude and Ultimate Warrior from WrestleMania, and in case anyone's wondering, we made a policy earlier. We will only do Rick Rude matches. I said, if you want me to do this, only Rude. All right, before we wrap this episode, back to the devs of the game. I got to ask you guys, tell us about some of the unlockables with the showcase matches.
Oh yeah,
We got a couple, don't we?
a couple.
Yeah, I think so.
Man.
Yeah.
I would say like as far as like alternate attires, there's like over 70, 16 different arenas. There's a cool bonus at the end.
What's the bonus?
We can talk behind the cool 40 years of WrestleMania sign. Yeah, and for those who want to cheat and not play the match to unlock all the cool stuff, there's a 40 years of WrestleMania edition, and they can just get all the cool stuff. So, hey, we have something for everybody.
we are excited.
How cool is this going to be for older fans though to play this with their kids or younger fans too who might not know these matches from when they took place? Reliving that moment. I think that's really like such a cool feature that we're going to have to connect with people.
I was captivated by.
No, you just lost. You just lost on TV.
Sorry, distracting you, brother.
Get us all in bed.
It's okay, you know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like for us who played the 30 Years of WrestleMania, we should see like a big difference between, like in terms of presentation, cutscenes, like the matches that you're gonna probably put over again, and for 40 Years of WrestleMania, we're gonna see a big difference. Like
Yeah.
in terms of, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Dino. What's up, Dino? The showcase designer was unable to be here today, but when we started out, that was one of the first things on his mind was, hey, we did this 10 years ago. I don't want to repeat, matches that we've done in the past. So, like I said, there will be some. Again, some matches that you guys mentioned here, they're just so iconic that to cover WrestleMania and not have them would be an injustice. But there are far more that are brand new that we weren't able to do in 2K14. And then again, 10 years have passed.
Yeah,
between
it's a
times.
decade.
So like I said, a Firefly Funhouse, we couldn't even done that, in the last time out. So
We couldn't have done that last year.
yeah. So no, it's a lot of new, and in terms of the objectives too. We've got the main objectives and sub objectives. The mains are the ones that trigger the cutscenes and introduce the slingshot tech, and then we have the sub objectives. That in previous years, if you didn't complete the main, you lose access to the sub. Now they're independent of each other. So players, if you, for whatever reason, you basically play it a little bit more your way, giving you that freedom.
Well, speaking of crazy matches you can play in this game, in the next episode, we got to get into the ambulance match. We break that down next. We'll do that next time.